Baku Live here on Wednesday night, 1st of June, 2022. And tonight we're going to talk about some things from the summer of 1958. It's the year I went to work for Les and Mim Hughes on their farm. And I was 15 years old at the time, and I'd been working with Dad on Vic Cook's farm, and Billy and I, we'd help out Dad. We'd always be in the same field with him, and then we'd helped out Grandpa Frank on his farm, and I was born on a farm, so we were on farms all of our lives. So Lester Hughes had approached Daddy about, am I going to work for him that summer, fall for harvest, and Daddy asked me about it, and I said sure, because it was an opportunity to make a little money, get a better car. I was driving a 40 or 41 Chevrolet black coupe that Daddy had, and that he was going to let me use to drive to over to Les's, which was I don't think more than a mile away. Not much of it, half a mile on the highway and then into their yard. So it was safe enough for me to drive from home to Les's with this old black coupe, because the brakes weren't working too well, and the shift was on the steering wheel. You know, you'd shift, push forward for a second and pull back and in and up for reverse, and so that's what I would use to pretty much brake the car, because the brakes were not good. So I'd stick it in reverse and make it really shimmy. But getting ahead a little bit, one morning when I came into Les's, I was a little late and in a hurry, and I come charging in there, and instead of sticking it in second, I hit reverse, or I hit second instead of reverse. So instead of stopping, I just kept going, which was not good. Les was sitting at the kitchen table there, and he thought I was coming in ready to the kitchen. So I had to be a little more careful after that. But that summer, Johnny Thompson had worked for Les. He was a neighbor farm boy. He had worked for Les for several summers, and so him and I became fast friends. And Harold Greenwood would do the swathing in the harvest time. Harold was the mailman at the time. He took over for Lee and Pettit, and he was the mailman. Then he'd do swathing when he wasn't on the route or less. So that worked out good. That was a good arrangement. Johnny, he had this, I guess it was a Model A. It was hard to tell because there was four tires and a seat. It was an open air vehicle. There was no body, and he loved to come through Baku and make it backfire. So at about 5:30 in the morning, Johnny had come through Baku there, and I'm sure the Greenwoods along the street there woke up many mornings with that bang, 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 and Johnny backfiring his Model A. If he was up, everybody was going to be up. But Les just lived north of Baku there, half a mile maybe. And Johnny on his way to work in the morning. So it was a good time. We working with Les and Mim. We really ate good. I mean, it was amazing. They'd bring full meals out to the field, 3 times a day, morning, noon, afternoon, then at night, I think we ate with them in the kitchen during harvest. I mean, we weren't hungry. It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. They were just really good people to work for, work with. Les's dad was he was known as Johnny Hughes or J.B. Hughes, and he lived in the same yard until he passed away. He had his own home there, but yeah, Les. He'd tell you what to do and just leave you do it. And then come harvest time that year, he put me on a pull-type combine. It was a Minneapolis Moline combine, and I was on the Minneapolis U tractor pulling it. And I'll never forget that. I'd never run a combine in my life, all by myself out there in the field, and I was scared to death. But Les said you can do it, and so I did it. But I remember this one event. I'll never forget it. It'll be with me until I die. We were in the school section south of Baku. It was a mile south, and then on the southeast section from that intersection there, and they'd cleared it. They did a lot of clearing there, a lot of trees. And so there were a lot of roots in that clearing. For a few years, you're going to be picking up roots out of this new clearing where those trees were. There was a lot of roots in the ground yet. So we'd pick roots, and during the summer, we'd pick roots out of there when it was summer fall. But anyway, it was in wheat this year, 58, and I was running the combine out there, and I ran a root that'd be under the swath so you couldn't see them, and I ran a root through the combine, and I thought this is the end of my life, because it did you get whoa, and it plugged the combine up, and I thought, boy, here goes this job. I figured that the guts of the combine had just flew apart, and oh man, I was just sick. But it wasn't that bad, actually. Damage wasn't that bad. We were able to get things cleared, crawl in there and pull everything out that was stuffed in there, and got things going again. But that was one time in running that combine that I was just scared the dickens out of me. And during the summer, another area of that clearing of the field, we were picking roots, and we'd be out there with a tractor and trailer and be picking roots. 100 degrees, I think, that one day when we were picking roots, and I got sick, and oh boy. And it wasn't because of the heat either. It was Johnny and I had misbehaved the night before, and I was paying the price the next day. But yeah, but Les would do that. He'd let you have a chance to increase your skills. Who today would let some 15-year-old kid who'd never run a combine before run a combine in their field? It's not going to happen. But Les, he did it. He gave this young, skinny kid a chance to learn how to run a combine, and it was terrific. It was terrific. And another thing that I remember, life has changed so much. It's just hard to believe how much life has changed in these few decades since then. It's not that long ago, actually. How much farming has changed. It's a whole different ballgame. When I was sitting thinking about this time I worked for Les and Mim, there were farmers everywhere, and now I think there's one farmer that actually lives within a mile of Baku. And back then I was just counting them, and there was like 8 of them within a mile of Baku. But not anymore. Farms have gotten a lot bigger, and so they're not living on the land that they're farming like it was back in the 50s. I think Paul Brown's the only one that lives within a mile of Baku that lives on the farm and farms it. And that's Neil Brown's son. He farms there yet. And he's just east of us, where I grew up. He's just east down the road, half a mile, I suppose, 3/4 maybe. But God bless him, he's still farming. But and we farmed. They would help each other. They do it today too some, but we'd help with the Finks, Elmer Finks and Willie Finks and Gordy Fink, Elmer's son, and Ivan. We'd do work together a lot, help each other out, and that was always fun because your kids about the same age, and it was a good time, a very good time. So, and Mem was a terrific cook. She was a terrific cook, and those meals that she'd prepare for us in the field or supper at night, it was fantastic. But I'm going to glance here at some of my notes. Les and Mim had 3 children, of course, and they were just little kids at the time. And so we had to be careful around the yard, that we didn't, with the machinery, that we didn't run over them. Susie and it was the oldest, and then Patty, and then Jimmy. They were great kids, full of life. They were full of life, and they all went to Baku school, with where we had went and where my siblings were all going to school. During the course of that summer, I'd made enough money, so I bought a different car. I bought a $50. I bought it for $50 from Joe Hillman, who was a guy that worked with Daddy, and I bought this 40 or 41. I don't even remember anymore. It was Robin Egg Blue. I was just so proud of that car, and $50. And man, I was a king of the walk. This Ford, and that's the one I told you about a few months ago. That my brothers used it when I was off working then for Abrahamson Brothers Construction. Car was sitting at home, and my 2 brothers, they decided that, man, sure be fun to go to the beach in Leroy and the Pembina River, and so they borrowed it without authorization, you might say. And it had bad consequences, as you would probably recall, where they were doing wheelies in a plowed field on the way to the river, and door flew open and Dickie flew out, and Billy ran over him. And we can chuckle about it now because all the injury was a broken collarbone. The tire went over his collarbone and it broke his collarbone, and it just pushed him into the fresh dirt. It had been freshly worked, so what could have been a bad deal turned out to be something that we can smile about today. But we were very happy that nothing more serious than that happened. But they didn't take the car again, I don't think. Yeah, I think they were in big trouble with the folks. Yeah. And then Les had 2 tractors that we used, the Minneapolis U, which Vic Cook had one of those too. And I'd worked with that tractor for Vic Cook and Daddy. We'd help Daddy out, but we'd always be in the same field, so that we weren't out there by ourselves. We'd work in the same field as he was in. And then Johnny and I, we were full of life, and I don't think Les ever knew this, but at the Frederickson farm, they called it, which was a few miles away from Les's farmyard. The end of the day, we'd race with the tractors back to the yard. Oh yeah, crazy. crazy, man. Oh, and then we worked in the same fields a lot too, and we'd get a rabbit in the furrow, and we'd stop and chase the rabbit. I'll tell you, I don't know. I always pray that my kids would never follow in my footsteps. Uh, but let's see. Uh, Les wanted me to come back the next year, uh, but and I would have loved to. I really enjoyed working for Les and Mim. They're wonderful people, and I would have just really enjoyed staying there. But Dad got me a job with Abrahamson Brothers Construction for Finn, Ainer, and Edmund, and Yon was still alive then. And it was pretty hard to turn down because construction pay was pretty good. You get a lot of hours, and I learned a lot working on construction with those guys, with the men. I'll never forget the first day of work. 16 years old then, and first day of work we went to Osnabrück, and we were working between two elevators on a grain storage unit, and they had forms set up and a ramp to get up on the forms with the wheelbarrows full of cement. And so that's what I was on. I was pushing a wheelbarrow. Up that ramp and around we'd go, and we'd do that all day long. And I'd never done that before either. And so all these old bucks around there were watching to see how long this young kid was going to last. But I made it through the day. I was too bullheaded to quit. But I slept good that night. We had one fellow working with us too. He, you get in a trance when you're doing that kind of work. It's kind of rote, you just don't even think about it. You go around and around. And we had one guy, he went up there with his cement load, and he came back down with it. He forgot to dump it. That's something none of us that were there will ever forget. And it really lightened the day. I mean, we all had a good laugh and made the work less burdensome, you might say. But the Abrahamson brothers were really good to me and to our family, and I'm so grateful for them, and for Lester Hughes and Mim for the opportunities they gave me to work for them and make some money and get a car and buy clothes and all of those kinds of things. It was wonderful. I really miss that kind of living. It was simple, good people, good neighbors, taking care of each other. And like I said, farmers were always helping each other out to get the crop off. Or somebody's machinery broke, they'd use somebody else's machinery to get it done, and it was good. It was good. Daddy loved farming too, but he'd farmed with his dad, Grandpa Frank. But then the farming was tough in those days, and Daddy worked off the farm too for Vic Cook, Baku, and so finally it just got to the point with Daddy's growing family that he just needed to get a job where there was health insurance, even in that time. And Abrahamson Brothers offered health insurance, which was such a blessing for our family. I'll never forget Abrahamson Brothers for that opportunity. And they were ahead of their time, I think, with that insurance for the men in the 50s. They were good. They were good to their people. Worked hard, worked very hard, but it was still good. We had a lot of fun working with Abrahamsons too. We'll talk about that some other time. Some of the goofing off that was just made the work tolerable. But anyway, so that's enough about that. I just want to say I want to change things a little bit. I hope we can start next week. I want to start meeting with some of the older residents around Baku. Merlin Dahlstead. I mean, I've had him on the list, and I just haven't had time to get up there to sit down with Merlin. But he's going to be the first that I want to sit at the table and just talk about the Dahlstead band and their experiences for those decades that they entertained the whole area up there. Their weddings and dances and community gatherings and nursing homes, and I mean they were the music. They were a talented bunch, and I'm hoping that Merlin's going to share with us some of his experiences. And there are others up there that I want to just sit down with and have them share their experiences living in Baku and in that area. Merlin, he was a mile south and about 4 miles west of Baku. He was close to Swal, the other town in the Advanced Township. As I mentioned on Monday night, I think the Swal, Leyden, and Baku were the three towns in Advanced Township. And we weren't very far apart, obviously. But yeah. But it was a good life. Worked hard. But we had a good time. Had a good time. Good friends. You couldn't beat it. So that's all for tonight. And I hope to be talking to Merlin very, very soon. I'm going to check into that and see if we can get something set. And we'll go with that. So God bless you all. And thanks for listening.